Hi guys, we are on our last new type of factoring, which is called the sum or difference of cubes. So remember, yesterday we did the difference of squares, and then today is our last new type of factoring. So if you're writing in your factoring book, we're going to finish up the factoring book today, which is really exciting. Remember, we were supposed to write difference of squares and sum or difference of cubes in the same section. So, and then that was the second section. So hopefully all of your difference of squares stuff is up here, and then we're going to do our sum and difference of cubes down here. So you won't need too much space for that. It's also for a binomial for two terms. If you're taking notes on regular lined paper, go ahead and just write down the sum or difference of cubes. That's the only thing we're learning today. This is our only brand new type of factoring for Algebra 2 class. All of our previous factorings you had learned in Algebra 1 class. So this you've probably never seen before. This one is called a sum or difference of cubes. And so if you remember yesterday, we said a difference of squares had to have a subtraction sign because that's what the word difference means. But today, since it says it can be a sum or a difference, it can be adding or subtracting. So I'm going to do an example of an adding problem first. The original question is the part that's written down first, a to the third plus b to the third. And so this is called a sum of cubes because there's a plus sign. That's what the word sum means. And then both of my numbers are cubes. And so a cube is, something that is to the third power or something you could take a cube root of. Now, on this problem, there's no way for us to calculate what the answer is. We've just got to kind of memorize what the answer is going to look like. And so just like on all of our previous problems, our final answer is going to be two parentheses right next to each other, not three parentheses. Very common mistake is to accidentally write three parentheses because you see an exponent of 3. And that's just not how this works. So it's still two parentheses, just like Xbox or the box method. And you can see the two parentheses already on the screen. And since we can't calculate this and we have to just kind of memorize it, we have a song to help you memorize how to factor a sum or difference of cubes. And so I am going to sing for you right now, and I'll put the lyrics to the song on the screen so you guys can write down the song in your factoring book or on your piece of lined paper so that you remember how to factor a sum or difference of cubes. Because again, factoring is going to show up through the whole school year and in your next year class as well. So you want to remember how to factor this type of problem. All right, so here is the song. It goes, you take the cube root of the first and the cube root of the last and the sign from the middle. Then square the first, change the sign, multiply together, and square the last. So it's a little catchy. And it's just kind of walking you through how to do this problem. So as you're copying down this song, I'm going to kind of explain again what the lyrics mean. So cube root of the first means take a to the third and find the cube root, which is just a. And same thing, cube root of the last is take the b to the third and find the cube root, which is just b. And then sign from the middle means, if this is a plus sign, put a plus sign here. And that's how you get the first parentheses. So the first sentence is talking about how to get the first parentheses. When you hit the word then, that's when you start the second parentheses. And when we're doing the second parentheses, we're going to get the second parentheses from the first parentheses. So we're not going to go back to the original problem. To get the second parentheses, we're all talking about the things in the first parentheses. So when it says square the first, it's talking about taking this a and squaring it. So a squared. Change the sign. So if this is a plus sign, that's going to be a minus sign, and vice versa also. Multiply together means multiply these two things from the first parentheses together. You're not paying attention to the sign, just a times b right here, a times b. And then square the last is take this b and square it. And whenever you square something, it always turns positive. So this last symbol will always be a positive. Okay. So that's the song. If you're not done writing it down yet, maybe pause the video and write it down because on the next slide, it's not going to have the song, but I want you guys to sing the song along with me while we do a difference of cubes. Okay, so pause the video if you need to, and we're all going to sing together on the next one. So here is our generic example for a difference of cubes. I know this one is difference because it has a minus sign, and then it's got a to the third and b to the third. Okay. So we're all going to sing together, and as we sing, I'm going to reveal the parts of the answer. Okay. So let's start in 3, 2, 1. You take the cube root of the first and the cube root of the last and the sign from the middle. Then square the first, change the sign, multiply together, and square the last. And so that's it. That's how you do these. So now in these generic examples, we've only been using variables, and so you can really tell that they're cubed because the exponent is a 3. You can also have exponents that are a multiple of 3, like to the 6th power, to the 9th power, to the 12th power. And to cube root those, you would just divide by 3. Just like yesterday when we were square rooting, we divided by 2. Now, not everything's going to be a variable, so we do need to know our perfect cubes. So most of you, I feel like, know your perfect squares, right? Like 8 squared is 64, things like that. But maybe we haven't used with perfect cubes before. So here are all the perfect cubes up to 6. We don't usually get any bigger than 6, so I wouldn't worry too much about anything bigger than 6. And you can always just check these on your calculator, right? Like you can type 7 to the 3rd power on your calculator and see what that is. But these are the most common ones. So again, I would write these in your factoring book or on your lined paper. So when you're doing these problems with a sum or difference of cubes, if you see the number 64, you need to take the cube root of that, and the cube root of 64 is actually 4. If you see the number 27, the cube root of 27 is 3. So these are good numbers to memorize to be able to factor these problems quickly. We're going to finish up today's notes with 2 examples with actual numbers in them. So when we're looking at these problems, first of all, it does need to be a binomial, only two terms. It's allowed to have adding or subtracting, so that part doesn't matter. And then we just need to check and make sure. In this problem, my exponent is a multiple of 3, so it's a cube. And I do have a cube root of 1. The cube root of 1 is 1. So sometimes what I like to do when I'm starting these problems is I like to just find the cube root of each number because that's what the song is going to use. So here's the cube root of each number. And for the first parentheses, we're just going to use both of those with that minus sign from the original question. So y minus 1. For the second parentheses, we're taking this y and squaring it. We're changing our symbol. So if it was a minus in the original, it's a plus in the new. And then for the part of the song that says multiply together, you're multiplying these two things together, this y and this 1, which makes a 1y. And then we're taking this 1 and squaring it. And that's it. That's the final answer. Anytime you're doing sum or difference of cubes, you literally just sing the song, write your answer, and then you move on. There's not ever going to be anything else that you need to do for those problems. So once you're done singing, you're done with the problem. There will sometimes be a GCF, but you should do that first before you sing the song. Let's try one more example. So in this problem, again, all of my exponents are a multiple of 3. So that means that they're cubes. And then 8 was on our list of numbers. The cube root of 8 is 2. So I'm ready to do this problem. The cube root of 8u to the 3rd is going to be 2u. And then again, if you have an exponent, you just divide it by 3 to find the cube root. So 9 divided by 3 is v to the 3rd. So this is the cube root of v to the 9th is v to the 3rd. And then we use that for the song. So each of these will go in the original parentheses with the plus sign in the middle. And then next we do the rest of the song. So for the rest of the song, when it says square the first, I'm taking the 2u and I'm squaring that whole thing. So I am going to square the 2 to get a 4. And then I'm also squaring the u for u squared. Change the sign is change that plus sign to a minus sign. Multiply together is multiply these two things together. So that's this 2uv to the 3rd. And then square the last means square of v to the third. When you square something that already has an exponent, you just times the exponent by 2. So that's why it's a v to the sixth. And then that's it. We're done. You have now learned 6 different types of factoring. We are done learning types of factoring. From here on out, it's just going to be practicing when do we use them? Did we actually factor completely? Did we do as much as humanly possible? Can we keep going? And things like that. So we're done learning how to factor. And then don't forget, next week on either Monday or Tuesday, whatever day I see you, is when we're going to take a quiz on factoring. So the 6 different types of factoring are all fair game on that quiz. So make sure that you're practicing over the weekend, that you're doing your worksheets, that you are doing your Delta math so that you're ready for that quiz.